Thank you, Sean. Thank you for everyone at Icon Coaching.
Simon, congratulations, man. You know what that is?
That's winning.
It's winning, baby. I love it when you're winning. That's fantastic.
I got 2 under contract, so that's like 2.8 million in 2 weeks.
You've got to take control of your production to make sure that you're making more money, your bank account balance is rising, that your net worth is increasing, and that's what we want to see happen.
So that they can save the listing.
Which I'm really, really thankful for, Sean. Thank you.
See everyone coming on board. Welcome to Icon Coaching's webinar.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Sean Kokoska, Icon Coaching. Thank you for being here. Gang, I have a great deal of respect for your investment of time, and I do not take that lightly. In fact, I've got a couple of goals for our time together today. As you saw the subject, team members, they don't need motivation, they need direction. Now, what I want to talk through today is specifically how you and how your team members can get the most out of the hours that they choose to invest in their work life. I had the pleasure, the honor of collaborating with Gary Keller, Jay Papasan in the writing of the book, The One Thing. And I was fortunate enough to build all the training curriculum on the heels of the success of that book and share that information with millions of people. So I want to share that information with you today. See, we found some shortcuts, how to get the most out of yourself and the hours you choose to invest in your work life. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and we're going to walk through. So bear with me one second as I get this organized. Guys, I thought I had it minimized in my lower tray. I might have to just stop that share and come back to another. Apologies. Here we go. All right, gang. Sorry about this day. I'm working a single screen right now. Bear with me. Here we go. All right, you should be able to see a picture of the book, The One Thing, right there. Here we go. We're going to dive in. So remember the definition of this word, success. According to Webster's, the definition is quite simple. Yet if you took the time, if you had the time, if you asked 100 people how to define this word, you're going to end up with around 100 different definitions. So the word is a bit confusing. Here's the definition according to Webster's. It's getting what you want. Not what I think you should want, getting what you want. Now, here's part of the challenge. These 3 circles represent everything you'll ever know, everything you'll ever do, everything you'll ever have. Now you see that triangle, how does that little sliver of the pie there, that piece of the pie represents everything you'll ever know. You can't know it all. There's too much information. By the way, you'll never have it all. You could be the richest person on the face of the planet. You'll still never have it all. And you'll never do it all. I'm sure many of you have been on vacation with somebody who wants to do it all. It's exhausting, it's painful, and you still don't get it all done. Yet here's the point. Just don't average your life. Take an extraordinary approach. I don't think anybody, gentlemen, imagine with me that you're about to propose to your now significant other, okay? And that magic moment has arrived. I'm certain that you didn't say, hey, do you want to get married to me? We're going to end up having an average life. Hey, by the way, we're going to have average kids. We're going to have an average dog, drive average cars, take average vacations. Nobody wants an average life. I think you might agree. So to have an extraordinary life, we must take an extraordinary approach. And that's what today it's all about. Yet it starts, in my opinion, with why. Like your purpose. What is it that drives and motivates you? See, what we see in somebody else, when you're comparing yourself to somebody else, I'm here to tell you, that kills all joy. Trust me, I do it too. And I do my best to avoid it because every time I compare myself to somebody else, man, it just makes me feel inadequate. It makes me feel small. And I don't like that. So rather, I focus on what I can control, and I encourage you to do the same thing. Yet what we see in that person who's just crushing, right? What we see is the profit. We see the productivity. What we don't see, what's under the surface, just like an iceberg, is the priority of the individual. And at the core, of course, purpose. What's the why? See, Simon Sinek's Golden Circle, you've all seen it, right? 3 questions that we ask ourselves as leaders. The outside circle is how, or what, excuse me. And then the middle circle is how. And then the inner circle is the why. Yet I encourage you to go inside out. Start with why. Understand that purpose that leads you to priority. And a big enough purpose is going to support a lot of productivity and a lot of profit above the surface, no doubt about that. Yet when the why is powerful enough, the how, it generally shows up. Mark Twain said it like this: two most important days of your life are the day that you were born and the day you find out why. One of my favorite quotes. Now, to me, this is the greatest equalizer. 1,440. It represents the number of minutes that's available to you and I every single day. Yet it's astounding to me how one person over here who's got 1,040 minutes, 1,440 minutes, well, they're struggling. They're dying on the vine. They're looking for a quote unquote real job. They're thinking about getting out of real estate sales. And then you got this person over here, same 1,440 minutes, yet they're crushing it, man. I mean, they're doing 2, 3, 4 transactions a day in this 1,440 minutes. And this other person is doing 2 transactions a year. How is that possible? See, I think and that's what we're talking through today, by the way. You're going to find many strategies. I think it starts with going small. This is a direct quote from the book. Going small, it's ignoring the things you could do and doing what you should do. See, it's recognized that not all things matter equally and finding the things that matter the most. It's a tighter way to connect what you do with what you want. It's realizing that extraordinary results are directly determined by how narrow you can make your focus, which seems counterintuitive, doesn't it? So let's talk through this domino effect. We're talking about success being sequential, not simultaneous, meaning that it's one thing at a time. And what we're trying to do, rather than a linear progression of growth, like if you got a 9 to 5 in corporate America, linear progression of growth is that, okay, every year, if I've done a great job, I'm going to go through my review and I might, if I'm lucky, get maybe a 2 or 2.5% raise. That's a linear progression to financial achievement. What I'm after is a geometric progression of growth, meaning that it's not linear 2% increase. No, you have the opportunity to 10x your level of income in 2026. You really do. It's just narrowing your focus to the right things and forming the right habits in the process. Now, interestingly enough, there's some studies done around dominoes. Now, when we were kids, we all played with dominoes, right? Not played dominoes, yet played with dominoes, where you stack them up and you put them just close enough. And maybe you wanted to do a turn, right, left, maybe a whole circle, whatever the case is. But if you line them up appropriately, when you do one thing, the right thing, it causes many other things to happen simultaneously, right? So I want you to liken that to building your business plan. In essence, as you build your business plan, what you're doing is you're lining up your dominoes. And you're doing this by going through the triage method and applying the focusing question. Now, interesting, the average domino is 2 inches tall, by the way. Now, the studies suggest that a 2-inch tall domino can knock over another domino that's 50% larger. And I shouldn't say it suggests it, it's actually a fact. It's been proven scientifically. A 2-inch domino can knock over a domino that's 50% taller. So a 2-inch domino can knock over a 3-inch domino. A 3-inch domino can knock over a 4.5-inch domino. Now, as you go through this progression, this geometric progression, not linear, yet geometric progression, by the time you hit the 18th domino, that domino is taller than the Leaning Tower of Pisa. By the time you hit the 23rd domino, it's taller than the Eiffel Tower. By the 31st domino, it eclipses the highest peak in the world, Mount Everest. By the time it hits the 57th domino, guys, it spans the distance from the Earth to the moon. Now, here's the problem. We want to tackle that 57th domino right now, today, and that's impossible. See, there's a psychological term called hyperbolic discounting, which means that we tend to overemphasize and over-exaggerate what we can accomplish in the short term, and we tend to devalue or under-exaggerate what we can accomplish long-term. Now, for example, if I offered you $100 today in cash or $200 a year from today in cash, which would you take? Most of you, and dare I say almost all of you, would take the $100 today. Because what we tend to do is we tend to discount future income, future activities. The longer tail approach doesn't work for most people. Yet here's the point. If you could double your money year over year, you would eventually outpace Warren Buffett himself. Well, you guys have heard the study of the penny, the old fable where the old rich man comes to his 2 kids and says, listen, I'll either give you $1 million in cash today, or I'll give you 1 penny that's going to double every single day, and it's going to double for 31 days. This month has 31 days in it. It's going to double every single day. Now, which would you take? Of course, the knee-jerk reaction, I'm going to take $1 million right now. Give it to me. I'm going to take that $1 million. I'm going to turn it into tens of millions of dollars. Yet if you just took the penny and it doubled day after day after day, just recognize at the end of 31 days, do the math on this, you'd end up with over $10.7 million in cash, starting with 1 penny. the compounding effect of your actions can be incredible when you apply the geometric progression of growth. So I think it starts also with a long-term vision, a strategy, having that in place. See, guys, if we don't create and stay true to our own vision, we become part of somebody else's. I don't want to see that happen to you. Rather, it starts with the creation of a long-term vision. So what does that look like someday? What do you want that to look like and feel like? So recognize, here's where I'm at today. When I'm doing a seminar, I ask everybody, stand up with me. Come on, take your left arm, put it all the way to the left. Your left hand, well, that represents, well, here's where I'm at today. Take your right arm, extend it all the way to the right. Your right hand represents, here's where I'm going to be someday. Now, the shortest distance between any 2 points, you guys, is what? Of course, it's a straight line. Yet do people live their life in a straight line? And I'm here to tell you they don't. What they do is they make the next decision, the next, generally short-sighted decisions that can actually pull them further away from the accomplishment of the long-term vision. So rather, once you get that nailed down, here's where I'm at today. Here's the benchmarks of success that I want to build my life around. Like, think about your real estate holdings, your retirement accounts, your stock portfolio, your bank account balance, how many transactions you're closing per year, how many team members you have. If you happen to be with a brokerage that allows you to build residual and passive income through revenue share, I would strongly encourage you to set some goals around that as well. So what do you want your life to ultimately look like? Based on those benchmarks, well, then you're going to reverse engineer your success. So this someday vision in excess of 5 years down the road, let's call it 7 years down the road or 10 years down the road. Okay, in 10 years, I want to own 100 rental properties. I want a big life, man. So give me 100 rental properties in 10 years. Perfect. Where do I need to be in 5 years to be able to accomplish that? If I want 110, well, mathematically, it makes sense that I would own 50 within 5 years. I think that makes sense. Do that with all your benchmarks. Based on the 5-year benchmarks, where do you need to be in 3 years to be on track to accomplish the 5-year benchmarks and the someday vision? Based on the 3-year, what do you need to be in the next year, the next 12 months? What does that look like? By the way, those benchmarks is what we would build your annual business plan around. Then where do you need to be in 6 months, this quarter, this month, this week, today, or even right now? What is that logical straight line step to the accomplishment of your someday vision? And it starts with the end in mind, to then reverse engineer your success down to very simple benchmarks that enable you to build plans around. See, extraordinary success, it's sequential, not simultaneous, meaning it's one thing at a time. Now, a common misconception of the book is that it's just one thing. That's totally untrue, you guys. It is, however, one thing at a time. So it's many things, yet here's what distracts us. The lies. Now, there are 6 common lies that we've been conditioned to fall victim to our entire lives, you guys. So the first lie is everything matters equally. And while logically that makes no sense, how do we tend to approach our days? Like, for example, I get a little window pop up on my screen that says, Sean, you got a new email. Oh, that matters equally. I better click that. Now, the moment I click that, it opens my email inbox, and I've made a conscious decision to begin managing everybody else's priorities instead of my own. So, you guys, tasks don't matter. Heck, even people don't matter equally from time to time. Like, for example, I'm getting ready to launch a new program. The working title is 12 to 2 SOI Dominance. The goal of the program, it's 6 weeks in duration, by the way, is to help agents install a rock solid touch campaign to their sphere of influence to ultimately get the 12 to 2 ratio, meaning for every 12 people you have in your sphere of influence, you're going to do 2 transactions per year. And I've pulled in all the technology, all of the resources, and we're assembling this program. By the way, it's going to be super cheap. Yet the point I'm making is that when I'm getting ready to deploy this program, when I'm getting ready to launch the marketing campaigns associated with this program, because I want it to be successful, well, guess what? My marketing team is incredibly important to me during this launch phase. Now, once we get the result, well, the marketing team goes to a secondary, or third, or fourth position. They're no longer as important. So there's an ebb and flow to what matters. And I think you guys get that logically, yet just watch yourself as to how you actually apply your day. Apply it to your day. Now, achievers always work from a clear sense of priority. Understand this. Leaders always show up with clarity. They help people get traction during times of distraction because of this clear sense of priority. So instead of a to-do list, I think we all need a success list. See, to-do lists are generally long, where success lists are short because they make getting to the heart of the matter the heart of the approach. So this is a list that's purposely created around extraordinary success. So working to-do lists, again, they could be long. Like if I wrote down everything that I could do right now, I'd probably take up 4 or 5 pages on my spiral notebook, right? There's no doubt about that. Then it's a matter of just narrowing your focus to a success list. Now, it's important to document everything that we're doing, yet working a to-do list, here's the challenge. When we cross something off the list, there's a release of endorphins that makes us feel good, like we're accomplishing something, man. So we look at that to-do list, and what do? Because we want that payoff, we tackle the easiest thing on that list first. No, you guys, that is not the thing on your list that's probably going to move the needle for your production or your bank account balance. It's probably something that's so easy to do. It probably only takes 5 minutes, and you justify and you say, that'll only take 5 minutes. I'll just knock it out real quick. So you invest the 5 minutes, you get across it off the list, man, you feel good. Yet you've mistaken movement for achievement. You understand? See, the easiest thing on your list is not the one thing that's going to move the needle for your production in most cases. It's generally something that's a little bit more difficult that you have to kind of psych yourself up to do. And that deserves your attention first and foremost before your day gets away from you. So let's say you had 25 things on your to-do list. I think we apply then Pareto's principle. See, 20% of your actions in real estate sales will yield 80% of your results. By the way, 20% of the tasks on your to-do list are going to yield 80% of your results. So let's apply Pareto's principle. I have 25 things on my list, 20% of 25. Well, that's just 5 things. Now, I don't think going Pareto is enough. We must go extreme Pareto. Then we'll apply the 20% rule. Again, 20% of 5 things that were remaining. Well, that's one thing, just one thing. And that is the priority of the moment. I'm going to show you how to get there. The second lie that we buy into is that we can multitask. Guys, it's humanly impossible. There's a gentleman named Clifford Nass out of Stanford. He did a ton of research for all of us. He said this, and these are direct quotes. He said, I was sure that those people who said they could multitask, had some secret ability. But it turns out that high multitaskers are suckers for irrelevancy. He said they were outperformed on every measure, although they'd convinced themselves and the world that they were great at it. There's just one problem. Multitaskers were just lousy at everything. Pretty harsh. There's no doubt about that. Yeah, guys, we cannot multitask. It's humanly impossible. You just can't. Like, for example, guys, imagine with me that maybe you're folding laundry over this last weekend and you've got the AFC or NFC championship game on the screen, right? Well, you're paying attention to the clothes, you're folding it, and then you hear the television. You can tell something's happening, that something exciting's happening in the game. What happens to the laundry that you're folding that's in your hands? Generally speaking, you just drop it because you can only focus on one thing at a time, right? In fact, I want to take you through a really quick exercise. First, this quote from Steve Ezell. He's a comedian, by the way, and I love this quote. Multitasking is merely an opportunity to screw up more than one thing at a time. That's it. So here's your exercise. I want you to grab a pen and paper, and I just want you to write the numbers 1 through 10 as fast as you can, just like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, just as fast as you can, left to right. And time yourself. Here we go. Just do it. Now, that generally takes about 5 seconds. I think you would agree to write the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now I want you to write the letters A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J. Go. Just write them as fast as you can. Okay, you should be done about another 5 seconds. So to write 1 through 10, to write A through J, that combined total is about 10 seconds. Now, just do me a quick favor and humor me. And I just want you to look at something over your left shoulder. Like for me, I've got a little golf cart over here. It's a little model that somebody gave me, a golf cart. I'm going to look at that, but I'm going to do it 1 second over my left shoulder, 10 times in a row, just 1 second each time. 4, just humor me. Do it with me. 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, 10. Okay, so I did that. 5 seconds to write 1 through 10. 5 seconds to write A through J. 10 seconds to look over my shoulder, 10 times in a row for 1 second each time. 20 seconds in total. Now, here's what I want you to do. Guys, I'm going to ask you to write number 1 first, okay? Then I want you to, beneath that, I want you to write the letter A, okay? Then I want you to look over your left shoulder at that thing for one time for just 1 second. Then I want you to go back up to the top of the page and I want you to write the letter or the number 2. See, I'm already getting confused. Then the letter B. Then I want you to look over your left shoulder at that one thing for 1 second. And then you're going to go to the letter 3, the number 3, the letter C. So you can see how this starts getting inside your mind. Let's just do it. In fact, you've got 20 seconds. Go. All right, you don't have to complete the exercise. Just for the sake of time, you guys, you get the point. Human error occurs when we multitask. You heard me. I'm telling you to write the letter 1. No, it's the number 1. Then the letter 8. See, I start getting confused. I start making mistakes. By the way, if you truly timed yourself, it's going to take you a heck of a lot longer than 20 seconds because of this term that's called switch tasking. Okay, let me walk you through why this is so imperative to master. See, oh, sorry. Here we go. Okay. Let me summarize this exercise. I'm going to summarize it with these words. So if doing the most important thing is the most important thing, why would you try to do anything else at the same time? It just doesn't seem to make much sense, does it? So on average, in corporate America, we experience 43 interruptions in an 8-hour workday. Now that's an interruption of thought every 11 minutes. Here's a diagram that helps you understand why this is problematic. So at the top diagram, we see interrupted workflow. So I'm going to sit down, I'm going to focus on the priority work at hand. Somebody comes in and interrupts me. Something happens. What I have to do is I have to switch from the primary work. Then I have to reorient from the primary work to the distraction. Then I'm going to deal with the distraction, help find a solution to the problem or an answer to the question. Then once I'm done with that, I have to switch from that task. Then I have to reorient to the primary work. And the switch tasking, this reorientation time, guys, it breaks down to an estimated 26% loss of productivity. 26%. So if you're working 5 days a week, you're getting credit for less than 4 days a week because of these distractions. Let me put it in simple terms. Let's say that you sit down to do your priority work, and that priority work that you've identified in that moment of time is to write a 3-paragraph email that you're going to blast out to your entire database, okay? This email is designed specifically to bring referral traffic to you so that you convert them into clients, into commission checks, and you're halfway done typing this thing out. So again, it's 3 paragraphs. You've typed out a paragraph and a half. Somebody comes in and says, hey, I don't want to interrupt you, but, and they just interrupted you, right? You switch task to the distraction. You reorient to the distraction. You deal with the distraction. Then you have to switch task to reorient to the primary work at hand. Remember, 3-paragraph email. You've typed it out a paragraph and a half. Now, what do you have to do with that entire email? Just to get into that line of thinking again, into that train of thought. If you're like me, you have to reread what you've already typed out just to get back into that rhythm to then start typing again. 26% loss of productivity when we're interrupted. Okay, so just watch the interruptions. You must set expectations with the people that are in your environment. Make sure that the people and the place support the goal. Line number 3 is that you need to live a disciplined life. Now, many of us, we've been taught from a very early age to take responsibility for everything in our life, and we tend to blame ourselves when we're not getting the result that we want. And we say things like, oh, I just need to be more disciplined. Now, I want you to change the way you look at things, and the things you look at will change, okay? You've got all the discipline, all the willpower, all the courage required for you to be a massive success in real estate. It's just how you apply discipline. See, a lot of people think they have to be disciplined in all things, and that is total bullshit. You just need to be disciplined in a handful of things, guys. That's it. Just a handful of things, and you're going to be massively successful, okay? So we don't need any more discipline than we already have. It's just to direct and manage it better. That's all. So choose the right activity that you want to build a habit around. Apply discipline to establish that activity as a habit. That is the key to success, in my opinion. See, it's a compounding effect. It's doing the right activity over time. Yet if it's a discipline, discipline will let you down. It's a matter of taking discipline, applying it to an action, doing it consistently till that activity becomes automatic. You've moved that from an action that you have to psych yourself up to do to the point now of automaticity, where it's part of your self-image. It's just something you do. It's a habit, in other words, right? Now, Megan Oten, She's an Australian researcher, and there's a whole bunch of research we found in the University College of London around habit formation. Yet Megan Oten, she nailed it down to an average of 66 days to form a habit. So at first, and by the way, she introduced dietary and exercise goals to a regimen for all of her subjects. And at first, she estimated that it was 95% discipline required and 5% habit. Okay, so the amount of discipline, that vertical line on the left of this graph, was about as high as it was going to get when they started. So over time, she was looking for that magic moment of automaticity where it's a habit. And she estimated that it was 95% habit now, requiring only 5% discipline. And that magic number in terms of timeline, the average was 66 days. Now, on the low end, it was 18 days. On the outside, it was 254 days to sustain the activity as a habit. Yet the sweet spot, the average of all of her groups, 66 days to form the habit. So I'm going to go ahead and post to the chat a 66-day habit tracker for you. Now, your job is to maintain the chain. That's it. So every time, well, first off, you're going to identify the activity that you want to bring to the point of automaticity. I think that's important because most people, they form habits subconsciously rather than consciously. I want you to bring conscious awareness to the activities required of you to get the results that you want, apply discipline to those activities, track your progress toward habit formation. At the end of 66 days, that will be a habit. So every day, and by the way, the habit I want you to own, where the rubber meets the road in this industry, you guys, it's the number of conversations that you can create, or that you can create on your team's behalf, right? Maybe you're hiring an ISA, or you built a team of ISAs or OSAs. You got a telemarketer that works for you. Whatever that is, your success is directly determined by the number of conversations you can create. See, there's only three things in which we can control in real estate. For a moment, think about all the things you can't control. You can't control the inventory, the interest rates. Can't control the buyer's credit score, their cash position. Can't control the seller's equity position, the location of their property, or that price they won't go below. There's really only three things you can control. Number one is what you say. Number two, it's how you say it. And number three, it's how many people you say it to. You think about, well, what's the whole purpose of marketing outside of building a brand, right? Yet, what is the whole purpose of marketing? Isn't it to create conversations? That's right. It's to get them to raise their hand so that you can ultimately either get on the phone with them, get face-to-face with them, earn their business. So if we just boiled it down to the one thing that's the most important metric for you to focus on, it's number of live conversations. So the habit I would encourage you to begin forming is a minimum of 10 live conversations a day. And every day you do that, just put an X over the box. Do that 66 days in a row, then it's part of your expectation of yourself. It's part of your paradigm. You just expect it to happen now. And you just consistently do it. And that habit is going to produce dividends for you and your family for years and years and years to come. So I'm going to go ahead and post that to the chat here in just a moment. I'm going to ask you guys to go ahead and download that, grab a hold of it. Let's make it happen. Line number 4, that willpower is always on will call. There's that old phrase, where there's a will, there's a way. Makes sense, doesn't it? However, I think it's done more harm than good. It should be when there's a will, there's a way. So your willpower, my willpower, it's just like the battery life on our cell phones, you guys. Every night you plug these darn things in, you wake up, you look, yep, it's 100%. Yet the more complicated the task your cell phone is doing, like if it's giving you turn-by-turn directions to get to your destination, man, you get there, your phone is hot, man, because the battery is burning really quickly. Your willpower is no different. Liken it to lead generation, lead follow-up. Those are generally things that people kind of have to psych themselves up for. It's something that you can procrastinate on. So, and it's also something you have to do consistently every day. I'm here to tell you, do it when your willpower is as high as it's going to get. That's the AM hours of the day. And I've got scientific research to back up this suggestion. In fact, there's only 3 things I would encourage you to focus on in the AM hours of the day. You know, outside of your morning ritual, like maybe you get up, you exercise, you make a healthy breakfast, maybe you get your kids ready, get them to school. And yet, when your workday starts, there's only 3 things I want you to focus on. Practice is always paramount. I don't care if you're a 35-year veteran in this industry. Practice is not something we did. It's something we do consistently, daily. Practice, rehearse your buyer presentation, your listing presentation, your scripts, your dialogues, objection handlers, knowing what to say, how to say it. That's 2/3 of the equation. Then it's up to you to say it to enough people. No doubt about that. Now, Willpower is renewable, yet it's going to be highest first thing in the morning. Please recognize that the brain is 1/50th of your body's mass, yet it consumes 1/5 of the body's energy. And willpower has a limited battery life. Now, here's a case study that was done. By the way, the people putting on this case study, they witnessed 1,112 different parole hearings. Now, this was the Israeli parole system. There were 8 judges that they studied and witnessed the results, and it was done over a 10-month period. And it represented 43% of all parole requests made during that duration of time. So this was an incredibly thorough study. Now, you can see here, the vertical line represents the opportunity, the percentage of people who were in fact paroled. And the horizontal line of this graph represents the hours in the day going from left to right. So at 9 a.m. when they started on the left, then it trended toward the morning break. Now, what the graph represents is when you were paroled, then you were mentioned on the graph. If you were not paroled, then it brought the percentage down, right? So if you were first to be heard in the morning, you had about a 65% chance of being paroled. Now you can see how it trends down toward the morning break. It drops almost down to 0. Like if you were last to be heard before the morning break, now they had a chance to rest, refuel, get a snack. Blood sugar has a little bit to do with willpower as well. Then you came back, you had about a 58% chance of being paroled. But then you can see as you trend toward the afternoon break and what happens in the late afternoon. And they come back from that break, it drops down to, 20%, 10%, 15% if you're last to be heard in the day. Now, this study, guys, it had nothing to do with guilt nor innocence. It had everything to do with willpower. See, when your willpower is depleted, you go back to your default settings. And for most agents, that means, well, I'll just do it tomorrow. You procrastinate when your willpower is depleted. By the way, this is why if you've had an exceptionally challenging day at work, and let's say you want to shed a few pounds and you're on a little bit of a diet, when you get home after that exceptionally challenging day, you open the pantry, man, you'll shove anything in your mouth you see because your willpower is completely depleted and you go back to your default settings. Now, the default setting for the judges in this case study was you're staying in prison, right? Yet when their willpower was the highest was in the morning or right after the break, they were willing to invest the energy to really hear the people out. Again, it had nothing to do with guilt nor innocence. It had everything to do with willpower. When your willpower is highest, you're generally able to do the work that you have to motivate yourself to do. So in the AM hours, 3 things and 3 things only. Practice, lead follow-up, lead generation. Only those 3 things. Then at 12 o'clock, I don't care what you do, yet the afternoon's going to be filled up with more appointments to go on, more contracts to negotiate, right? So those are the only 5 things that you need discipline around. Practice, lead follow-up, lead generation, going on appointments, negotiating contracts. So the only 5 things that are actually going to make you money in this industry. So your job as a professional realtor is to figure out how to give an inordinate amount of time to those 5 things, okay? AM tasks, when your willpower is highest, practice, lead follow-up, lead generation. PM tasks, everything else. So this requires you not to set final walkthroughs, property inspections, or even closings in the AM hours of the day. Because those of you who take that seriously and take care of your priority first, 10 live conversations, do it before 12 o'clock. Then it's the cry of the urgent. It's the people who have left you the voicemails and the text messages. Just, there's no such thing as a real estate emergency, in my opinion. 99.999% of things can wait till 12 o'clock. I think you would agree. All right. Now, if you did have to do something in the AM hours and you had to skip your lead generation that day, my input to you is if you erase, you must replace, and you'll just do it in the afternoon that day. Just recognize you don't have any willpower. So you've got to have some kind of accountability in place. All right. The 5th lie is that we're striving toward a balanced life. Guys, balance, that's not what we're striving toward. Just recognize in this universe, there's no such thing as balance. It doesn't exist. In physics, I learned a term called quantum jitter, which means the resting state of energy is not 0. And we all know gases float around and liquids, they slosh around, but imperceivable to most people, even the asphalt in the street out in front of your house is vibrating at a subatomic level, meaning it's not in true and absolute balance. It just doesn't exist. So I just say don't strive for balance, because anybody who's achieved extraordinary success will tell you it's not about balance. It's about balancing. Like when I'm doing a seminar, I say, everybody stand up with me. Now stand on one foot. Then I ask the question, are you balanced or are you balancing? See, it's a balancing act. And every relationship that you have requires its own counterbalancing strategies. Like if you imagined a vertical line that represents absolute and true balance, which we know is a fallacy, it does not exist. Just imagine your key relationships. Like my father and I, even though I love my dad and he loves me and we love spending time together, man, I can go 2, 3, 4 weeks without having a conversation with him. So imagine that center line represents absolute balance. Imagine though that I just hung up the phone with my dad and we're going to go 2 weeks out. So I'm going further and further away from this imaginary center line of balance, right? But then with my father, I can pick up the phone, give him a call, and man, it's like we just picked up right where we left off. That relationship doesn't require a lot of counterbalancing strategies, right? Yeah, think of your most important relationships, like with your kids, with your significant other. Like what I get to do, guys, I get to jump on airplanes all the time. I get to fly all over the country and give talks and help agents increase production. And you can imagine that that's challenging on my family and challenging on me. And these are important relationships to me. So I'm going to hover around the center. Okay. So we've got that vertical line represents true and absolute balance. I leave the house on my way to the airport. So I'm going out of balance with my family. So I'm going to get through security. I'm going to check in at the lounge. I'm going to find my seat. Then first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to check in with the family. Hey, the flight's on time. Looks good. Just come back to balance. Then get on the flight. They close the door. I take off. As soon as we land and we're taxiing to I just wanted to let you guys know, just landed. Everything okay on your end? How are the kids doing? Perfect. I get to the hotel, check in, get my back up there. Check. Hey, just want to let you know I'm checking at the hotel. Everything's great. How are things with you guys? Right? It's a very important relationship. So I'm going to hover around the center. How about you? How about your relationships? What are your counterbalancing strategies? Is this a relationship you have to hover around the center? See, most people, they hover around the center in all aspects of their life, and they wonder why they're not being as productive as they could be because magic happens in the extremes, you guys. I would imagine that every morning you go into your time block for practice, lead follow-up, and lead generation. Just imagine that call it 8 o'clock in the morning, when you start your practice, that you just entered a submarine, okay? And they just closed the hatch of this submarine. And every minute you're in this time block, you're going deeper and deeper and deeper. And the pressure from the outside world, it is building up on you. And the longer you're in that time block, the deeper you go and the more pressure that there is, right? This is the cry of the urgent, the people who have questions, the people who are just clamoring for your attention. Just recognize at 12 o'clock, you're going to back up the surface. You're going to open up that lid and you're going to deal with the cry of the urgent at that point. Okay. Magic happens at the extremes. AM hours are your hours. It's your priority hours to practice, lead follow-up, lead generation. I love how James Patterson put it. He said, imagine life as a game in which you're juggling 5 balls. The balls are called work, family, health, friends, and integrity. And you're keeping them all up in the air. But one day you come to understand that work is a rubber ball. If you drop it, it'll bounce back. The other 4 balls, family, health, friends, integrity, are made of glass. If you drop one of those, it will be irrevocably scuffed, nicked, perhaps even shattered. I think it's well said. I wanted to read that out loud because it's so true. Work is a rubber ball. It's going to bounce back to you, no doubt about that. Let's talk about the 6th and final lie, that big is somehow bad. We all have negative connotations around money, around building a big business, having a whole bunch of agents on our team. There's some negative connotations to that. Now, a lot of people, they say, well, I'm going to start small at first, then I'm going to go big later. I think that's problematic because small actions build small habits and it creates ruts in your life, right? And the difference between a rut and a grave, in my opinion, is the length and the depth, right? We got to get out of these ruts. And if you start small, just recognize you're forming small habits, you're building small relationships, and you're taking small actions in the process. And you're going to end up with a small life. So I say from the get-go, think as big as you possibly can. See, the bigger you think, the bigger actions you take, the bigger relationships you form, and most importantly, the bigger habits you begin to possess. So how do you eliminate all of these 6 lies to gain massive clarity? See, at the core of this book, there's this humble little focusing question. Guys, I want you to write it down and I want you to apply it to everything you do in your business life, in your personal life. So I've got these 25 things I could do. Out of these 25 things, what's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary. You guys, this is a question that provides a profound sense of clarity. Identify your answer. That becomes your priority of the moment. No doubt about that. I'm going to give you time to write it down. What's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? I'm going to get that one task. I'm going to move it over to my priority. I might even go back to my to-do list and say, okay, out of these 24 remaining things, what's the one thing I can do such that by doing it, everything else on this list will be easier or unnecessary? Identify number two. I'm going to focus on number one. I'm going to get that as far as I can. And then I might jump to number two if the time block allows for it, right? So there are 7 key areas of life, you guys. It starts with our spiritual life. I rank these in priority. I think at the end of our life, the one thing that's going to matter the most is our relationship with our maker. So what's the one thing you can do for your spiritual life such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? Then it's your physical health. You guys, if you don't take care of your body, where are you going to live? And replacement parts, they're very hard to find and incredibly expensive. So take care of your body. And what's the one thing you can do such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or unnecessary? I got to that second one, and man, I had to be honest with myself. I had to look at myself in the mirror. You guys, I was 45 pounds overweight. I was tired. I was lethargic. I was getting man boobs. So what's the one thing I can do? I decided to focus on nutrition. I signed up with a company called Isogenics. I started on these protein shakes. I added in creatine. I added in clear protein. I added in a whole bunch of stuff. And fast forward 3 months later, I shed 45 pounds. Fast forward 45 days later, I put on 7 pounds of muscle without going to the gym every single day. Yet just identifying your answer can absolutely change your life. Now I'm full of energy. Got a freaking 8-pack at 54 years old. It's crazy. Yet by identifying your answer, you can literally change your life. Then it's about your personal life. You say, well, why would you put your personal life above your key relationship? Why would you put yourself before your family and your kids and everything else? Well, here's one thing I've learned. If you take care of yourself, then you can take care of everybody else at a much higher level, okay? So then it's about your key relationships. Now, 2 categories in that key area of life. You have your key relationships in your personal life, and you have your key relationships in your business life. Just recognize all relationships require their own counterbalancing strategies. Then it's your job when you're actually down in the weeds working in your business. Then it's for your business. What's one thing you can do for your business when you lift yourself out of the weeds and you're working on your business instead of in your business? This is the one thing I get to do with people is I force them to work on their business instead of in their business. We find new strategy, new tactic. We find clarity in action. And as a direct result, they just crush their goals. They make more money. Now, I put finances the last on the list, meaning if we take care of the other 6 things first, the 7th generally works itself out. And apply the focusing question to all key areas of life. Next, I want to talk about time blocking, okay? So time blocking your one thing, time blocking other things, critically important. I used to be the guy that time blocked every minute of the workday, literally from 6 a.m. until 8 p.m. I time blocked every minute of the day. And it was a major mistake. Guys, I was setting myself up for massive disappointment. And it didn't happen at first. It was gradually at first, then suddenly. And that suddenly turned into burnout, right? Because I was disappointing myself every day. I couldn't stick to it all the time. So I got a little bit wiser. And here's what I learned when studying the one thing and studying the productivity of others and those that were absolutely crushing it. And here's what I learned. Don't time block every minute of the day. Rather, time block only the AM hours of the day. At 12 o'clock, then it's about everything else. Become a distraction to anybody and everybody at 12 o'clock. Yet from 8 o'clock till 12 o'clock, you're focused on just 3 things. Practice, lead follow-up. Once you're done with your lead follow-up, you've completed all the tasks in your CRM. Then it's about proactive lead generation. Maybe you're calling FSBOs, expired listings. Maybe you want to do some B2B networking, or maybe you want to do some circle prospecting. I'm not sure yet. Whatever it is you choose to do, just make sure you're hitting 10 live conversations a day. So then protecting your time block. See, anybody can build a time block schedule, yet protecting it is something entirely different. Okay. I'll give you 4 strategies, and I'll use military terms. The first thing I'd encourage you to do, build your bunker. Okay. Where can you go that the enemy can't get to you? The enemy is the distractions. It's the cry of the urgent. Okay. Where can you go? I've got a client in New Orleans. Her bunker is her master bedroom closet. No joke. She got a card table, set it up in her master bedroom closet. And if that door is shut, her family knows, do not interrupt her. That's her bunker. This is where she can go focus on her priority. Then Don't leave your bunker. Store provisions. Okay. So what do you leave the bunker for generally? Is it a fresh cup of coffee? If so, just put a Keurig inside your bunker. You make a cup of coffee without having to leave. See, if I leave the bunker to say go out to the kitchen or go to the kitchenette at my office, inevitably somebody bumps into me. Oh, Sean, I'm so glad that I bumped into you. You have 2 minutes for a quick conversation. And this 2 minute trip to get a fresh cup of coffee, it turned into a 25-minute distraction. We want to avoid that. So store provisions like Advil, snacks, bottles of water. What do you need in your bunker? Imagine that you're out on the battlefield and the general yells, retreat to your bunker. So everybody runs to the bunker. And there's a landmine in the center of your bunker and you step on it. It blows up your whole day. So you've got to sweep for mines. Sweep for mines. What are the mines in your world? For me, it's my cell phone. All these text messages, all these DMs on social. Oh, somebody tagged me on Facebook. I better look at that. See, these are distractions. Maybe it's that window that pops up that says, hey, you got a new email, and you click on it, open your email inbox. Your priority does not exist in your email inbox, I promise you. And of course you want to just, no, Sean, I just got an offer in on my listing that I took last night and they emailed it to me. Of course, my priority is in my email inbox. Is that a priority? Really? Let me ask the question. Could it wait until 12 o'clock? Of course it can. Yet the mistake most agents make is they're going to jump all over that offer. That's my priority. And what happened to their lead generation, lead follow-up that day? It didn't happen. And as a direct result, what we do in business today does not show up tomorrow. They're going to have a big time slowdown in probably 45 to 60 days because they're saying yes to the wrong work at the wrong time. Knock your priority out first every single day at 12 o'clock. It's about everybody else and everything else, okay? Heck, go sit on the couch and binge watch Netflix. I don't care what you do. The truth is you won't have time to do that because you're going to have more appointments and more contracts to negotiate in the PM hours, okay? Next is enlist support. Like my executive assistant when I was president of Keller Williams MAPS Coaching, MAPS Business Training, if you tried to knock on my door at my office, she would have tackled you. I'm telling you. She protected my time blocks like nobody's business. And we all need somebody like that in our world. We also teach people how to treat us. Okay. And we have to reteach some people how to treat us so that we can increase our productivity. No doubt about that. I want to share one simple strategy with you. I call it the 4D approach. Anytime you think of doing something, and I mean anything, you guys, go through the 4Ds before you take action. Just ask yourself, can I ditch it? Does that even need to be done at all? Can I delegate it? Who can do that for me? Can I do it later? Now, this only works if you got a time block set aside for that particular task. Otherwise, it just turns into procrastination. The final resort, the last option is do it now. Yet most agents, they want to do everything right now, you guys, and they mistake movement for achievement. See, it's not about busyness, it's about business. So 4D approach will definitely help you. I do want to talk to you a little bit about accountability. I've done an extensive amount of research around this. Individuals with written goals, they're 39.5% more likely to succeed or accomplish those goals simply by writing them down. Now, hear this. Individuals with written goals and weekly accountability are 76.7% more likely to accomplish their goals. So if you want to 2x your probability towards success, I want you to just go to my website, iconcoaching.com, set up a free coaching call. Here's one thing I'll promise you. No pressure, no expectations, no hard close tactics, nothing like that. No smoke and mirrors. Just 30 minutes of your time to find a profound sense of clarity in the actions you're going to take in 2026. That's it, you guys. No pressure, no offer. Just get on the phone with us. Take advantage of that. All right. Accountability can come in many forms, by the way. It could be a mentor, a peer. The highest form of accountability is a coach, by the way. So I'd encourage you, just check it out because you are the first domino. And it's up to you to take that first step toward extraordinary success. Guys, we do this every week. So until we talk again next time, just be on purpose, be productive, be powerful. By the way, this Thursday in 2 days' time, I'm doing a webinar with a company called GFI. That's Global Financial Impact. And they, if you choose to, will help you very easily get your life insurance license, and you'll pick up an extra $50,000 to $100,000 this year by just helping your clients get a mortgage protection plan. In the event of their untimely death, the mortgage is paid off through a term life policy, and you get paid a lot of money to help them be good stewards of money. If that interests you and you want to add a parallel, natural line extension to what you do day in and day out, please show up on Thursday. You're going to see how easy this actually is to get that life insurance license and the strategies that enable you to really wring it out. Let's monetize your database. I'll show you exactly how to do it. And I wouldn't be shocked if you didn't pick up an extra $5,000 to $10,000 in the next 45 days doing what I tell you to do on that webinar. Okay. And it only gets bigger from there. So plug in with me, learn about it. If it makes sense, it generally makes dollars. So till we talk again on Thursday, just be on purpose, be productive, be powerful. I'll talk to you all soon. Bye-bye.